Okay, we're going to try number 2. Hopefully this will work. I've cut down my streaming, the quality of the streaming, so hopefully this will work better. Perhaps my 4G network can't handle the HD streaming and likes the high better, which is what I did the other night, and we didn't seem to have any issues then, so cross fingers that works. Just if you can hear me, let me know, because I'm using my microphone in the hopes that the sound quality will be better than it was last time. My poor old iPad's a little bit old, and I don't think the quality on the volume on the microphone's so good. So I'm going to try I pinched my son's earphones, so I'm going to try with this and see how we go. And if that goes well, then I'll invest in a little mic and all that sort of stuff, because I don't really want to invest in a whole new iPad, so because there's nothing wrong with this one. Okay, so I know I've got a bit of a lag, but if you want to jump in, just say hello. Let me know if you can hear me. That would be great. Okay, so today we are going to do a real spontaneous, which is actually taking a lot longer to set up than what I thought. The sound is cutting out. Anyone else having sound issues? Because if that's the case, then I'll just unplug this mic, and because I've never used one of these things before, so I'll unplug it and we'll just use, maybe it's twisting around, maybe that's the issue. So if there's any issues with the sound, just let me know and I'll unplug it, and we'll just have to have the in the background. So better that than no sound at all, huh? I'll just wait and see a little bit. Maybe I'll just unplug it and then I can come back out and see later on. Okay, I'll just do that. So okay, still cutting out. Maybe it was I know that the replay will be fine, so I'm going to go ahead, but if you have issues, then you can come back. Like, I know the buffering, but the buffering will stop on the replay, so I'm going to continue on, and we are going to be colouring. I'm just getting myself organised with the Stampin' Blends, and we'll be using the Flying Home stamp set. And if you followed my page, then you would have seen I put some photos up of some stuff that I've been colouring over the weekend. So I'm just going to do a couple of quick reminders and a couple of other things. I have actually my Sunshine and Rainbows card class that I have up and running at the moment. So for this, it is $105, and it includes the stamp and die bundle, and also some of the glitter and clear epoxy. I think that's how you pronounce it. The little like circles and raindrops and stuff. So you'll get a packet of them. I know I can't help the freezing without lowering my quality of HD, like my streaming quality. So unfortunately, so if it's not working, then perhaps just come in and like leave and come in again, and or just watch the replay, because the replay will be fine. So I've got the card class running, and that will be ending now I'm all over the place. My pre-order for that will be ending on the 27th. So if you want to jump in for that, jump in. So today we're colouring with our Stampin' Blends. So here are the details on them again: singles, combo, and the whole collection. Don't forget, with the whole collection you can also get a couple of celebration items if you wish to purchase them, or if you want to join my team, you can actually choose this as one of the items. So when you join the team, it's $169 to join, and you get $235 worth of products to choose from. So you can definitely choose the Stampin' Blends combo, and you'll also get 2 extra free stamp sets during celebration. Okay, so I'm just going to swing back to me for a second, and let's swing round. I think I've got my camera issues and my positionings worked out, thank goodness. That's one thing that I've got worked out. And so we'll just flip over to the next camera and get started on our blends. So it's probably a little bit fuzzy, but I think my hands are okay. My hands are clear, which is not really what I want. So I've got all my Stampin' Blends here, and I'm zoomed in quite close to this at the moment. So I've got my two containers of Stampin' Blends, going to be colouring today. There won't be any card making as such. It'll just be colouring. And I have stamped that in the Memento. So this is a water-based ink pad, which you will definitely need for colouring with alcohol markers. Okay, so I'm going to be using, and all my blenders I've got all mixed up in their containers, so I'll be using the Crumb Cake, not Ivory just yet, so Crumb Cake Light and Crumb Cake Dark, and also some of the bronze marker. And maybe there's way too many people jumped on and that was interfering with all the buffering maybe. And also I'm going to be using the Smoky Dark Grey, Smoky Slate Dark. Okay, I think that's all I need. I'll probably change things as we go. Now, I've been watching some videos because I'm okay at shading and blending, but I'm absolutely dreadful at the whole light and dark, you know, pick your light source and here's the rays come down. I'm absolutely dreadful at trying to figure out where that actually comes from. I know it's strange. You'd think that if it comes from this direction, then everything light would be here. But I've watched a few videos and I think I finally got a little bit sorted out. So we're going to start, and I'll probably be using my bullet end to start with. And I'm just going to go on those lines because this one's actually a bit tricky to figure out, because some of these, like some of the drawings, these lines actually turn into branches, and some of them are just lines. So it's just to add a little bit of shading underneath there, but it'll all end up getting covered in. Now, I do find it tricky to talk and colour at the same time, so apologies for that. Oh good, we're streaming well now, excellent. So I hope all those people who left actually come back now. So we're going to have my light source coming from this direction up here. Here we can pretend this little bit of yellow, you can just see it. We'll pretend that that's the sun. So I'm going to be having all my sunlight coming from this direction here, which means these areas around this side, we've got sun coming down, all these areas would be a little bit darker and this would be a lot brighter. So I'm going to start off with my light colour, and I just tend to flick, but I only want a little bit on this side. Actually, I'm going to do the whole area for this one, and I'll probably end up turning backwards and forwards, so I hope I don't make you dizzy with my card flipping, but I find it easier to flick away from me than what I do to come towards me. So I'm just going to flick that towards the centre. So that's my first one down. Then the next one I'll be going towards my dark crumb cake, and again just flick, but I only want to do a little bit on this side because the sunlight's going to be coming down. So I'm just going to do a little bit of shading around that side and a little bit more on the bottom, and then, sorry, don't want to make you dizzy all the time, and then on this side and down the bottom is where it would be darker, so I'm actually going to flick more into the middle there. Okay, so, and then we want these little twigs here coloured in. I've got to remember what I did. Now I'll come back with my light crumb cake and just give that a little bit of a further flick. And I tend to use the side of the nib more than the top, so rather than holding it down that way, you want to hold it to the side and flick that way. So that looks pretty cool. We've got a little bit of light and dark going on, but now I'm going to bring in my bronze, and oop, I missed a bit there. So I'm just going to bring in the bronze and add a little bit more shadow and shade going on here. And down the bottom. course across. So we have that. Now I tend to sort of go backwards and forwards a little bit here, and this is my bronze, my dark crumb cake, so I just sort of want to bring that in. So now you can see that I'm really getting some shadow going on here, some light and dark. But if you want to go that little bit darker again, bring in your grey, and you can just add, see, because I'm laying it down on top of my browns, it doesn't look grey at all. Okay, so I'm just going to do that little bit of an edge there, and I hope the streaming and everything is going well for those who are watching live. Then if you're watching the replay, it doesn't really matter, does it? And if you're watching on YouTube, it doesn't really matter. So we just want to bring that little bit more of a shadow. But I'm definitely going to have to get something with that audio sorted out. So do you see how that's given me a little bit more of a darker edge, and then I might actually come in with my light again and just sort of not have that so dark, like so there's quite a bit of a difference going on there. So just to bring it in a little bit. Now I'm not an expert, I have never used Copics before, so I'm just going by what I think, to tell you the truth. Okay, so that's my basket. If you want, you can still come in, because I find that with each layer that I put down, it actually gets that little bit darker. So you can sort of build, because we've only got two colours of the blends, you can actually build your mid-tones and your darker ones just by adding another layer. It's I find that's really quite handy, that you can actually add more. Okay, and I'm just using plain old Whisper White cardstock as well. Okay, now for my branch below, I'm going to be using the ivory and the bronze. I can pop them away. So ivory and bronze, just because I want a different sort of colour of brown than the actual nest itself. So I'm going to start off, and I'll probably end up using my bullet end for this one. So I'm just going to use the ivory and put down all the colour for that. Now this is usually where I start getting mixed up. I can usually do the big area fine. I can get that little light and shadow, and then for some reason my brain must just switch off and go, right, well, I'm just going to pick a side and put my shadows on it. But it's not actually true, because if I've got my sun coming from this direction, my top is actually going to be light, and the bottom part of my branch is actually going to be darker, which, you know, is pretty obvious, but for some reason my brain just doesn't seem to compute that, and it'll just do whatever it wants. So we're going to lay down our dark edge on the bottom, and there'll be a little bit of shadow underneath, and then on the top here. On the bottom of the top, I should say, the top branch, but on the bottom. So then I will go ahead and just give that a little bit of a blend together. Squeak, squeak, squeak. Now, because we're also coming from this direction, we know that under here there's going to be a bit of shadow, so I'm just going to extend that down a little bit more. And with our sun coming from this direction, the nest is going to actually cast shadow on the branch as well, so I'm just going to fill that area in and make that completely dark. And I'm actually going to add another layer of dark here, just because I find that when I go over it with the light colour, it tends to push that colour back out, and I sort of lose some of that depth. So I hope I'm still streaming. I haven't seen any more comments, so I'm hoping that it's all still working. If not, I'll have to start all over again. Okay, so that's my branch, and you can see that I've got two different shades of browns going on. Now for my leaves, I'm going to be using yellow, the daffodil light, the old olive light, and the old olive dark. Okay, so using the bullet end again, I'm just going to colour in each of those leaves in the yellow. And then I'm going to come in with my light old olive, and sort of, if I can try and think that my sun's coming in down that direction, then I would have a little bit of shadowing on this side here, a little bit underneath, maybe a little bit there, a little bit underneath here. So just try and think which areas would be on the darker side. Yep, got some brown on there. Okay, and then I blend them together with my yellow. Actually, I think I might have done that the wrong. Oh no, that's right. I'm thinking, wait a minute. So I just want to remove that little bit of that harsh line there, just a little bit of blending. And then I come in with my darker old olive, and I just want to add a little bit of darkness. And sort of even like pounce that on. Because you only need a tiny. Okay, and then come back in with your light green. So you don't really want a whole lot of yellow, but you want just enough to sort of turn it into like a little greeny colour. So that sort of gives it a little bit more shadowing, light and dark, rather than just having two shades of your green. So the last thing is to do our birds, and I used the dark Daffodil Delight and the light Calypso Coral and the dark Calypso Coral. So they'll be our next colours to use with the bird. So again, thinking of where the dark will be, so I'm actually going to start with, actually I might use, oh no, I'll use this one. I was going to use the bullet. And around the dark, a bit under there, and I'll just do each bird at the individually, and then we're going to pop some light Calypso Coral in. And just blend over those two. And then finally some of the dark Daffodil Delight. Actually, I think I may have used the light one. Then we'll come back in with the Calypso Coral and just sort of blend them in together. I think in my other one he's a lot brighter. I must have used the light The light daffodil. Let's try the light one on the little birds. It seems a lot brighter. Okay, so get my dark one out. I think I'll use the bullet one for this one. Yep, definitely use the light one, not the dark one. Okay, and then his beak. And there we have him finished. So I used the light one for the yellow, not for the other one. Okay, and for lastly, I'm just going to come in with my light pool party and just pop some background on, whoops, wrong end. You definitely don't want to be doing that end. You want the broad tip for this one. And once you get out into the open areas, you can flick. So I'm not sure why I'm on my 4G, so I'm not sure why it's not handling the streaming today. Maybe there's loads of people on the network. And these texture marks sort of tend to vanish away after a while, so I don't get too fussed about them. So if you want to go around a second time to make it a little bit darker, you can. Otherwise, there you are finished. Now I think if I bring it in closer, it probably won't focus anyway. So I don't know whether I can get focus automatic. Nope, my focus won't work. So there's the one that we've done today, but this is the one that I did yesterday, which I've obviously spent a little bit more time on. So you can definitely see the difference between the light and the dark